Welcome back. You're watching World Challenge 2008, the series that highlights what enterprise can do for the community. Remember, your vote will help the most deserving to win a cash prize. So visit theworldchallenge.co.uk and find out how. We feature a dozen innovative projects from around the world that are competing for your vote to win one of this year's fabulous prizes. You decide which of these is doing most to help save the planet while boosting local incomes. The highlands of South Africa's Cape have long been one of the country's poorest areas. The ending of apartheid didn't change the fortunes of the people much. But the modern health craze for herbal teas, in this case a tea called rooibos, is changing things for the better for local people. They've pioneered the setting up of a cooperative and are benefiting from customers' willingness to pay a little extra for fair trade and sustainable products. The low rainfall and poor soil of the North Cape province make farming difficult. But these marginal conditions are suited for rooibos, which in the Afrikaans language means red bush. It's a plant that's native to this part of South Africa. It's been harvested in the wild and used as a medicinal tea for centuries by the original inhabitants here, the Khoisan, and now by their mixed-race descendants.
I think
rooibos is a very healthy drink. I've been drinking it every day from when I was a child, and in my experience, it keeps me fit.
Rooibos is rich in health-boosting antioxidants and has no caffeine, making it a popular alternative to tea. After the ending of apartheid, the big farms still enjoyed a virtual monopoly and dictated the low prices paid to the small-scale gatherers of rooibos. The so-called Cape-coloured farmers of the South Bokkeveld were forced to be agricultural labourers. Farmers with their own small plots where they could grow the red bush struggled in a market dominated by big farms.
In
the beginning, it was a tragic story with the rooibos, and the prices were really low. We didn't know much about business and marketing. You would take your tea to a company and they would say, "It's this much per ton." You just had to accept it. You couldn't protest.
Jy het nie geprotesteer daarteen gesê.
News reached the South Bokkeveld smallholders that the status quo could be changed, and the wind of change was blowing from Wuppertal, a small town nearby. It was time for a fact-finding mission.
We heard about Wuppertal, a town where the farmers set up their own business. We decided to go and learn from them. On the Sunday, we went to see Frans van der Westhuizen, who's the first farmer who exported rooibos.
It was an inspiration for us, and it motivated us to get on our own feet and create our own enterprise.
The Highveld Cooperative was born. The 14 founder members pooled their resources. Their self-appointed mission was to take charge of every stage of tea production, from growing it, to marketing it, to exporting it. They were aided by the new consumer preference for fair trade. And Highveld's farmers started with the one huge advantage poor farmers have over their larger-scale rivals. Namely, they'd been too poor to buy any kind of chemical, so their tea was authentically organic. Now they're registering as organic producers.
En so het ons die jaar 2001.
In 2001, we exported our first tea abroad. It was a very successful export.
En ons het 'n baie goeie uitvoer en ons verdien daarom nou.
and we earned more than we would have if we sold our tea locally. We got a good price because we exported organic tea.
Ons het baie beter pryse gekry oor ons organiese tea uitvoer het. Dis hoekom ons beter pryse gekry het.
Caffeine-free rooibos is not for the lover of the traditional cuppa, but stores like this one in the UK testify to its popularity.
We've seen a massive growth in this market with herbal teas, and my view might be slightly biased, but I think it's probably one of the best tasting of the herbal teas. As we've seen a rise in this market, it's certainly up there with the biggest sellers.
You can now buy Highveld tea from fair trade brands in the United States, Australia, New Zealand and much of Europe, and the marketing team is always developing new taste combinations to widen the appeal of rooibos. This is the heart of the Highveld story, the cooperative shared facility known as a tea court, where the process of turning the freshly harvested rooibos into red tea takes place. The cuttings are first chopped into a fine powder, which is then laid out in the sun. Water is added, and overnight natural enzymes turn the green powder into rooibos tea. Thanks to the co-op, Highveld members get at least twice as much money for their tea as they used to, and they get it in regular instalments through the year.
With the money I make, I can send my children to school and buy things for the house, and I can save some money too.
At busy times, there's plenty of employment on Highveld farms for cooperative members and local job seekers. Even the packaging for the tea is locally manufactured.
We get a good salary from making bags for the cooperative. After we started to work with Highveld, our women's group was able to open a bank account with the income from the bags.
Although, as a native species, rooibos plants of the Cape ecosystem can cope with extremes of weather, recent prolonged dry spells have tested even the red bush's hardiness.
In 2002, there was a little rain, but at least we made the harvest. In 2003, the drought killed it all off. The 2003 to 2004 drought just burned my plants up.
The dry years cut most harvests in half, but the farmers of Highveld would bounce back. The cooperative used the previous year's surplus to provide replacement seedlings and cash loans to cover their shortfall. Highveld is also leading research into strategies to cope with future extremes of climate. There's a weather monitoring programme to track temperature and rainfall patterns, and it organises climate change workshops to share information. The farmers have also pioneered new sustainable planting methods to protect both their crops and the surrounding Cape biodiversity.
For 2 years we planted tea here, and the strong winds came from that side and they blew all the tea plants away. This is when we decided to make the windbreaks, and as you can see, the windbreaks are spaced 30 metres apart, and the windbreaks themselves are 10 metres wide.
En daar kan ek vir enige persoon wys. Maart vir die heel eerste keer.
This tea was harvested for the first time in March. It was this height, a total success.
The windbreaks also catch wild seeds and give them a place to grow. The Highveld Cooperative's work in guaranteeing fair prices, providing reliable employment and supporting the disadvantaged has provided hope for the farmers of now and the future. It's given support to local schools, and the students, many of them from farmers' families, are well aware of the new wind of change.
Coloured people can now benefit more. It is also creating jobs for them.
When I leave school, I would like to join the Highveld Cooperative too, because I see so many opportunities for employment on the farm.
With the continuing interest in fair trade tea, Highveld has been able to increase membership from 14 to 57 farmers, and last year's exports doubled. Now the processing facility is barely big enough. There are plans for expansion, but not yet the funds. If it wins the World Challenge, the plan is to spend the money on tripling the size of the tea court and buying extra machinery to manage the ever-increasing volumes of tea.
My ideas and my dreams are that Highveld can still progress a long way, taking things one step at a time. And I've got a good feeling about Highveld. It's all down to us farmers.
That's all from World Challenge 2008 this time, but watch again when we feature 2 more finalists. From Colombia's jungles, a new kind of alchemy that's turning gold green. And the idea that's turning Nepal's leprosy-ravaged beggars into organic farmers. Don't forget you can visit theworldchallenge.co.uk. That's where you'll find details of all World Challenge finalists and where you can vote for your favourite.